Hi, it's Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we have our very first Schrade folder for this channel. This is the SCH403 with solid carbon fiber scales. So I'd like to move the camera to the tabletop perspective so we can take a good look at this Schrade folder. Stick around. There's the Schrade knife. It's a good size folder. It's over 3 inches for a blade. So let's do some size comparison to start. Here's the Kershaw Cryo, the smallest version. So you can see it's, a good fair bit bigger than that. And here is the Ontario Rat 1. So you can see it's a decent amount smaller than a Rat 1. So it's a good, mid-size folder. That'll fit just about anybody's hand, I would think. I've got a large size hand and it fits in there quite well. Feels good in the hand. Before we get too far into how it feels and that stuff, let's go over some specs. It is a carbon fiber liner lock with a liner only on one side. Back spacer. I'm not sure if that is carbon fiber or not. There is a pocket clip, regular steel. You've got your Torx screws that hold it together. And we've got a 9CR18 MOV steel. Thumb studs, drop point. There's a nice swedge on here, a bit of a belly, and a nice long, 2-inch plus section of flat blade right there. And let's see, the whole thing altogether is about 4 3/4 inches. That's 19.6 centimeters. The handle itself is 4 5/16, 11 centimeters long. The blade is 3 3/8, which is 8.5 centimeters long. It weighs 108 grams, which is 3.8 ounces. The thickness of the blade is 0.1 inches, 1/10 of an inch, right around 3 millimeters. Okay, let's talk about how this thing works and how nicely it feels in the hand. The blade itself here, I couldn't find the specs on this, and I didn't get it. I didn't ask for the information before I started making this video. I'll ask afterwards if it's different. I believe this is just a bead blasted blade. It looks really much like that. And then Schrade has laser etched their name on there, and the model has been stamped into the steel on this side. The thumb studs are kind of neat. They got they're smaller at the blade and they come out, sort of like a hat. And there's just that tiny jimping on there. And it's actually quite grippy for the thumb. So it's easy for the thumb to grab on, get a little bit of purchase, and flick the blade open. It doesn't require an awful lot of pressure. To get it to open up, it slides open quite well. The nylon washers have been chosen for this knife, and they work just fine to open this knife up. I should tell you before I get too deep into this video that Schrade sent me this knife for review. Kudos to Schrade for making this knife available to a reviewer with complete freedom to say what I want. The thumb stud, as well as everything else here, is all Torx. You can take, actually I should double check that. So I took out my Allen keys, and it's an H2 that fits in there, H2.0. That's the tool that I used, H2.0. It fits the thumb stud. Okay, so that means it's easy to take the thumb stud off if you need to do that for sharpening. If that makes it easier, you just use your Allen 2.0 key for that, and it should come off. And it's got nice flat, huge flat area on here, so you can clamp on if you've got a Lansky system or something similar where you clamp onto your blade itself to hold it for sharpening. That'll work just fine. Really nice hollow grind on this that just cuts really well. This is after having used it for a week and a few days already. The knife came in great shape. First time I opened it, it opened very well. It feels good in the hand. One of the things that I like best about this knife is this nice big swell right here in the belly of the handle. It fits my hand very well, and you know, any kind of grip that I've gripped it with, you know, this back grip makes a really good spot for your thumb up there to hold it. Even if you grip it back this way, your thumb still rides over there quite nicely. Either hand, for any type of cutting you want to do, it fits really, really well. The jimping on the back of the blade here is not aggressive enough to create a hot spot, but it's certainly aggressive enough to get a really good purchase. The ramp goes up just slightly there, as you can see. And, you know, this hollow grind allows it to slice very well. And it does a good job of cutting. I showed you the paper. Let's see what else we have. We've got thicker paper. Look at those lines. They're just perfect. It just slices through that. No problem at all. Let's see how well it cuts. This is a zip tie. So you can see it zips through a zip tie, no problem. Let's try, you know, here's some 1-inch wide banding. And I'll just get a purchase on that. Cuts through that, no problem at all. Let's see if I can hold this without hurting myself. Cuts through that, no problem. Yes, I might cut that a little too close. I'm trying to save on product instead of going through a whole bunch. I just am not made of money, you know. It zips through, you know, this is 550 paracord, no problem there. You know, it's a good cutter. Oh, here's some light wire with it's electrical wire from an old mouse, I think, computer mouse that is. The spine whack test, because that's a really practical, easy test that I can do to show that the liner lock, in this case, it's the liner lock, is working just fine. So I hold the knife like this so that there's nothing in the way of where the blade would close, and I whack the spine on some wood. So if you've got headphones on, you're probably going to want to turn the volume down right now, or, you know, whatever you're listening from, turn the volume down, because in 3, 2, 1, I will start whacking. So there you go. You can see those marks on this wood. You know, I'll give it a pretty good whack. So yeah, it's a good knife. It feels good. It looks good. It works really well. No problem at all in the use of it. The pocket clip is just on this one side. It's right side tip down only. That's the only option. It's a really wide clip here, and functionally it holds really, really well. It works being a little bit extra wide on this smooth surface for getting, you know, a good grip into your pocket and everything. I do wish that it was a little deeper pocket. It's got about 3/4 of an inch sticking out of your pocket here. It's a 3-screw pocket clip. These two here, and the other piece of metal goes in behind this stud that's part of the pivot. And so the pivot screw is Torx on this side and holds it really well. You know, it just flies right out. You know, for having nylon washers, I'm, you know, pleasantly surprised that it opens as well as it does. It opens up against this really thick thumb stud that we have back, not thumb stud, this stop pin that we have right here. It opens up against that stop pin, and that's a large stop pin. That's larger than most folding knives of this size have. So that just speaks to how strong and durable this knife should be. I've not experienced any durability issues with this. There's not that many videos on this on YouTube, and I'm not sure why. This thing actually deserves a little bit more acceptance than it's been getting, I think. We have a lanyard hole right here, and because of this back spacer, it's a tunnel all the way through, so you don't have to worry about trying to fish it through and, you know, trying to get it through a second hole. You just get it started and it goes through there. It's not a huge hole, but it's just enough for 550 paracord. I was expecting it to be a bit lighter. Having carbon fiber scales and then coming in at 3.8 ounces, I was expecting it to be, 3.5 or less. If they did some skeletonizing, if they do a second edition of this knife, I hope that they'll do some skeletonizing of this liner on this side. And these scales, they could be made just slightly thinner and they'd still be plenty strong since they are solid carbon fiber. That would help thin it out a little bit, and it would help reduce the weight and get underneath that 3.5 ounce mark. Perhaps go with some open pillar construction, depending on the weight of the individual piece of this this backspacer. I don't know how much it weighs on its own, so just a couple little things would help bring the weight down just a little bit. I really like this knife an awful lot. Since I got it, it's been my primary carry. Partly because it was novel. It's a new knife, and whenever you get a new knife, at least if you're me, you tend to carry it quite a bit at the beginning. But I found it to be so comfortable, and I found that it cut just fine. That all the positives of this easily overcame the couple little cons, because none of those cons are really significant in any way, at least not to me. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, that is, regardless of if you like the knife or not, if you like the video, please click down in the lower corner over here that you liked it. If you know somebody who's interested in Schrade knives, maybe click share and share this video with somebody. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for commenting. And remember, always cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Bye now.